Open your eyes, you're losing control. Open your eyes, put down the phone. Conditioned by misinformation, it's just the media telling us lies. Decipher fiction from the truth. Society's slow and tragic demise. Open your eyes, you're losing control. Open your eyes, put down the phone. Everyone's got their fucking opinion.
Come on now. You know what this is, and you know why we are here. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. Episode number 3 bazillion. I hope everybody is well around the world. I'm happy to see you. And I mean that genuinely. I'm excited about today's show, and I hope that you are too. Good to see everybody. What's up in London, John? Yeah, man. Glad to have you back, you know. That's right, Ray Hogan. Hey, Kabula. What's happening? Nice to see you last night. Cindy, Incendiary, nice to see you last night at it was Mike Gallo from Agnostic Front's 50th birthday. And that was a fun event. Saw a couple bands play and got to socialize. Big socialized night, you know? So there you go. That said. Hey, guess who's back? Guess who's back? I'll tell you. Here you go. Guess who's back? I'll give you a clue. All right? Here you go. There's your clue for the day. Look who's back. All right? There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, he is back. What's up, bro?
What's going on? That's funny.
Have you been busy battling the forces of evil?
You know what? I've been fighting the forces of evil, and I've been battling with the light and with all kinds of stuff here. But it's been it's 2 weeks now already. They did surgery, and then a week later they said the first one didn't work, and they had to do a second one. So,
is that right? Back with the dead guy eye. Is that right?
Dead guy's eye, yes. Well, because I got a certified pre-owned left cornea, which I hope is from a good person. But they did it on the 15th, and then when I went for the doctor for the follow-up, she said, "Oh, the graft didn't stick. We got to come back in and do it again tomorrow."
Ow!
And you know what the fun part was? The first operation, I was awake for. So the second one, I said, "Can we please put me under for this?" And they did. So, but now this Tuesday, I have to go back in and they have to pull the stitches out of my eye. So
hard.
Yeah,
hard.
it's.
I just want you to lift your visor and like blast like. Yeah, you look like a movie villain. Ray Hogan says. Hey, Ray, thanks for the ticket yesterday. Ray.
Ray Hogan is the man.
You know what? You said, just real quick. I just want to say that, we've talked about a lot of times. We talk about like how I like let go. I don't have a lot of clutter in my life. I got rid of like all the hardcore T-shirts and the records and the comic books and the baseball cards and like this stuff makes me nervous. Like all I want in this life is like a toothbrush and like a clean pair of underwear. That's all I really like. I'm happy with that. But lately, and you sent me a couple pictures from your collection, right? And I gotta say, because people. You know what I miss? I'm starting to miss my comic books. My old Marvel comics, like I had a great collection, and you've been sending me some of yours, and I'm like, damn, man.
Now, did you sell them all? They just gone?
Bro, I sold everything, man.
Oh, man, because
I'm selling shit, motherfucker. I sold it all. And like, I didn't look back for a second because it was stressing me out. Like, I just don't want clutter in my life. And like,
you don't have a lot of room. So
I don't have a lot of room. I live in a friggin' bunker.
But you know what? I'll tell you, like, because I've been home for 2 weeks, I can't do anything. I can't drive. I can't. So I've been just going through stuff, pulling out, just like, just brings me to so many good memories, and like. Oh my God! Wow, Rich Sola, you're gonna have to show us some of that stuff. You know?
Yeah. The smell. You gifted me a couple. Was that for my birthday? And
Yeah.
and like the smell of old comics, man. You know,
Oh
it
yeah.
just
You know,
man, it's fucking
it's just so much fun. It really is. It just reminds me of it's Masterman.
yeah.
Back,
Yep.
I don't think you could even put a guy with a swastika on the cover of a comic today.
Yeah.
But
Hey, the swastika thing, you know?
well, if you remember, I think it might have been the first issue of Captain America was like him punching Adolf Hitler in the face, I think. But now it's so, you know what? It makes me feel like a teenager again, going back looking at them. And I just recently rebagged them all, put new cardboards, and just really, really fun stuff.
Bro, I'm just destined to just roam the perimeter of the wasteland.
You know what?
I accept it at this point, you know?
One of these days when we're in the city, we'll go down to Midtown Comics. You can just smell all the comics. Anyway. Sir, could you please stop?
Are you gonna make it down to the next show?
I do not want to miss the Undead for any reason. This is a great fight. Great fight.
They're doing a couple of Misfits songs because
this is gonna be a lot of fun.
Tristan's playing bass with them, so
yep.
Yeah.
And the Car Bomb Parade, of course, Sad Plan. Yeah. This is a great bill, and it's been killing me that I missed that last show, but I literally can't see, and I have to wait till they take the stitches out. So
yeah,
God willing.
By the way, anybody out there, this is our next free all ages Sunday matinee down on the Bowery. You know, right a block from CBGB's. If it's free, it's for me. Everybody's welcome. Sunday, February 16th. The Undead with Bobby Steele and Tristan DeGraves on bass. Sad Plant Star Car featuring
Sab
Gray from Iron Cross. The Car Bomb Parade featuring Mike Flattery from Incendiary Device and Prize Fighter.
Featuring Joe Frank.
Featuring Joe Frank. That's right.
We got to
Rappo says 12. Yeah.
Oh, Ratbone. We can go for days talking comics with Ratbones.
You know, I'm gonna be getting my comic game. Listen, when I hit,
I'm sure Ratbones will sell you some comics.
Don't worry, you know. not that I want money in this wretched existence, because you know it just brings problems. But let's say I did end up with a bunch of money, I would just like.
Where do you start?
I would just start.
What titles do you go for first?
I don't know, man. I'd go for I'd probably the Avengers because I use.
There you go.
Avengers,
nice.
The whole, you know, just all the. Whatever,
nice. Yeah.
Who am I kidding? You know. All right. Cool.
So, but listen, I also want to take a minute to thank everybody, because in the last 2 weeks, I've been getting tons of people looking out, seeing how I'm doing. The Women of the Pit sent me brownies. They rule. Thank you so much. And somebody sent me a beautiful engraved Back to the New York Hardcore Roots flask, which I'm going to have to bring to the show, which I'm like, are they telling me I should be drinking more? But it's really nice.
Who sent it to you?
I don't know. It's a mystery.
Why do you get sent this stuff? Nobody sends me shiznit, and I'm the friggin' host of this. People.
Well, I'll come over and put some stitches in your eye for you.
Yeah, right.
And but yeah, I mean, really has been. Everybody's been great, and everyone has been terrific. And I can't wait. I do not want to miss another show. So
okay, good.
You know, and that's that, really. So I will hopefully, and it's good to just be back on the show. I've been crawling on the ceiling, just like going out of my mind here. So
dancing on the ceiling like Lionel Richie?
Like Lionel Richie. That's me.
Like Lionel Richie, I'm dancing on the ceiling. I think you.
And the last thing I'm going to tell you is this is good stuff right here.
What is that? The Red Cross book?
Yeah, it just came out.
Oh.
I just started it, and I'm a big Red Cross fan.
Well, let's get one of them on the show.
We tried to, remember, but Steve was busy with the Melvins and off and everything.
Yeah.
We'll get him.
Listen, sometimes it takes a couple years, you know.
Yep.
Right.
We will get you. We'll find you.
All right, bro. Talk to you soon. There you have it, Hardcore Shutterbug, Stephen J. Messina. This is the one, the only, often imitated, never duplicated New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. And we are sponsored by the Texas Silver Rush, DTFM Vinyl Distro, Generation Records, Mad Vintage, and 126 Hardcore Clothing. They're a streetwear brand for restless individuals who don't compromise. They're about being positive, spontaneous, and true to yourself. For years, they experimented with several printing methods and materials and collaborated with a large number of designers and illustrators, always giving room for fresh perspectives while retaining the hardcore attitude. Get in touch with them. Ramp up your game. www.126clothing.com. That said, let's clear the deck. Let's bring our guests on. Let's make sure nobody's killing each other in the chat room. Everybody's good. All right. Here we go. Let's see. Here we go. All right. Don't be scared, kids. Today's guests are two brothers hailing from Toronto, Canada. As musicians for over 45 years, they have helmed the band Youth Brigade. They created the Better Youth organization to promote punk and alternative youth cultures in a positive light, and BYO Records, which released over 100 albums in its existence. They are also the creators and driving force behind the Punk Rock Bowling Music Festival, which is held annually in Las Vegas, Nevada. Please welcome, coming at us from the Golden State of California and Costa Rica, respectively, the Trailblazers, Shawn and Mark Stern. Hey, man.
Hey.
How you doing, Drew?
Good to see you guys.
Good
What's
to be
happening?
here.
What brings you to Costa Rica, Mark?
Well, we came down for a couple of weeks just to hang out with friends.
Mm-hmm.
Then the fires broke out like 2 days after we left. And we got our 3-year-old with us and was just like, man, what are we going to go back for? The air sucks. And so we just kept extending the stay. Now we're here 5 weeks already.
Wow.
So we're going home on Wednesday. It's time to get back.
Things have calmed down a little bit, right?
It rained, yeah, air's clearing up a bit. I don't know, you tell me, Shawn.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, I wouldn't go in the water.
Nah. So I figure I might as well get my surf in here because I'm not going in the ocean there.
Yeah.
And you California guys are surfers. You know, my brother lives out there and he's a surfer, and he lived down in Venice. And what's this place they used to surf? Shit pipes? What it was like? What is it? There's like a pipe that goes like a quarter of a mile out, and it's okay most of the time, unless after a rain, everything just is that still the case out there?
Yeah, I mean it's by the Hyperion sewage treatment plant down in South Bay. So,
that's right.
So basically, I mean, what goes out there is treated, but when there's a big rain, it can't handle all that because basically all the water from the the sewers goes in there, and so when you get rain, you get a lot of extra water, and the sewage treatment plant gets overwhelmed, and they sometimes have to dump stuff out there that's not really.
It goes out further now. I think the pipe goes out like a mile or something.
Is that El Porto?
Yeah, it's just north of El Porto. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. I used to go with them. I remember before we get into it, but I remember back. Do you remember the you'd call on the phone for the surf report?
Oh yeah,
yeah, and it'd be like And I remember once, it was epic, and the message was, leave the wife and kids, mortgage the house. It's epic. It was, after hearing 4 feet, finally it was like, it's mortgage the house, leave the wife and kids. You're never going to see this again.
Well, that was the county lifeguards that did that report. And most
Is that right?
Yeah, most of them are surfers, so.
Gotcha. That's great. So hey, let's bounce the ball back and forth a little bit. Let's do like Music Youth Brigade the first half of the show, and we'll do Punk Rock Bowling the second half. So Shawn, Mark, how did you guys come up? Did you grow up in a musical household? How did music come into your lives?
Well, we left Canada when I was 10, and I'm the oldest. So I don't know why, but we took piano lessons. I think my parents, I don't know, did they make us? Maybe. I know that we used to go down the street to take lessons, and Mark used to ditch the lessons, as I recall, and keep the money.
Hockey cards.
Hockey cards, yeah, that was important. So we both played piano. I don't know if Adam did, and then when we moved to California, I played. I took up the saxophone in the high school band, and you played violin, didn't you, Mark, for a minute?
Yeah. But even in Canada, as my dad, he played guitar.
Yeah, and our grandfather played piano too.
He was a doctor, but he'd have people over. He started doing TV shows, and he had a show called Music Cop. So he was friends with a lot of musicians. They'd be jamming at our house, like Gordon Lightfoot and
Oh wow.
a couple other people. We'd sneak down and listen,
We always thought it was Music Cop, but it was actually, I just found out a few years ago, it was Music Hop.
Oh.
And I'm all, that makes more sense, because I was all, Music Cop, what is that? Music Hop. But we were little kids.
Was your dad worked in the film business?
Yeah, he was a doctor. He went to University of Toronto. He became a doctor. He got bored. He was just a GP, and he got bored. He'd always been writing just, for fun. So he started writing for TV shows up in Canada. And like Mark said, one of the first shows he worked on was for the CBC, which was a weekly variety music show. And Gordie Lightfoot was one of the main people on that show. So, they used to come to the house, and my dad played guitar when he was going to university, playing acoustic guitar in the cafes, I guess. I mean, we weren't even around then, but these are the stories he told. And then he started getting more and more jobs in the film business, and started getting jobs out in California and coming and living here for 6-8 months at a time. And then finally,
jobs as in writing for shows.
Yeah.
So he was a show writer.
Yeah, he wrote for Mod Squad.
He quit the practice. He quit the practice when he started getting enough work in the film.
That's awesome. That's exciting.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty inspiring to see that somebody dedicated their life and their schooling to go to medical school and become a doctor, and said, you know what, this doesn't work for me. I'm just going to change and become successful. And he like I said, he was a writer on Mod Squad, he did some Ironsides. He actually got approached by Norman Lear to do All in the Family, to become a writer on All in the Family, and he said, I don't know comedy. That's not what I do. I do medical stuff. That was primarily he leaned towards medical stuff, but he did write one episode of All in the Family, and eventually started doing movies and other things, and because of some experiences where he would write a script and the director would, not necessarily do the vision that he had, he started becoming a director as well, because he didn't want people screwing up his stuff. And then he became a producer as well. So he wrote the screenplay for Amityville Horror, the original. Yeah. Wow. And
that was the one where he ended up becoming a director after that, because they kind of butchered the script. The script
is that his name? Sandor Stern?
Yeah.
Wow. I think we're a bit kindred spirits in that regard. My dad was a film director, and I grew up under very similar circumstances. My dad kind of just grew up in an orphanage in the Lower East Side of Manhattan, and then got his first job in the film business as like a messenger, bringing film to the lab in between boxing rounds, and kind of.
Didn't you do a Muhammad Ali?
Muhammad Ali in the 70s. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And he was a boxer in the Army, and he connected with Angelo Dundee. I don't know if you know who he is. He's one of Ali's people. Yeah. And my dad was like the great, the great white hope, and went down to Miami, to train, and realized it's really not. It wasn't what he. But that's where he met Angelo Dundee, who later introduced him, to Ali. And my dad did a Ali documentary, and that really opened up a lot of doors for him. But yeah, it was. I grew up under similar circumstances, and I know for me, and I'm assuming for you guys, in a certain way, that kind of contributed to your spirit of sort of get out there and do it. Get out there and do it. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
And plus, when you got some, we got encouraged to do it as well. So,
Yeah.
give it a shot.
That's good stuff. What was the first music that like spoke to you guys that you felt like this is my music?
Go ahead, Mark.
I mean, it'd be like early '70s. Like Jimi Hendrix, and the funny thing is, I realized later we were into like Johnny Winter, Rick Derringer, all these blues. Not more blues inspired rock rock music, and what I really noticed was when bands like started getting commercial and they started putting bands like Journey and Boston and this shit out. We hated it. We were like, what is this shit? We weren't involved with putting music out or anything like that, but I know that we were like, this doesn't even speak to us, you know what I mean? And that's when punk rock came around, and we were like, this is what we gotta listen to.
Yeah, I mean, like Mark said, we were listening. We were growing up in the '70s, going to high school in the mid to late '70s. So that rock and roll thing was what we grew up on. Led Zeppelin, Jimi Hendrix. We saw Johnny Winter and Rick Derringer play at the Palladium.
Nice.
We saw a lot of pretty amazing shows. We lived for a while around the corner from the Troubadour and just down the street from the Roxy and the Whiskey. So
the Trube.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Tommy Bolin, ex-Deep Purple, probably in a few months before he died at the Troubadour.
Wow.
We saw Stanley Clarke and Chick Corea at the Roxy. Paying like $4 or $5 tickets, and then going to these big stadium shows where we'd be in a line overnight to see, I don't even remember who was it, like Lynyrd Skynyrd and Point Blank and whatever crazy rock stuff. And so we grew up with all that, and that was, I remember the first concert we went to was Robin Trower at the Shrine Auditorium. So
come on now.
Yeah, we were into the really good, rock and roll, blues inspired guitar players, because Hendrix for me especially was a huge influence. I don't even know that I would have picked up a guitar if it wasn't for listening to him.
Well, you pulled the Robin Trower card, Robin Trower, Jimi Hendrix. I mean, Robin Trower, Jimi Hendrix. I'm a big Robin Trower fan. Bridge of Sighs, and
it was amazing. It was an amazing concert. We were 15, great. I think, when we went and saw that.
And we're the same age, basically. So I can relate. Led Zeppelin, Leonard, all that stuff. And then there was sort of a bit of a turn, with music coming in, and it was a little, I didn't feel connected or to it at all. And I think part of it is the disconnect between me being sort of an audience member or a lover of the music and sort of what was on stage. I mean, I really felt that. And then, I was exposed to hardcore. We didn't call it hardcore then. It didn't.
It was punk rock.
It was punk rock.
I still don't call it hardcore. I mean, but that was the thing, is that we grew up just a little bit too young to take part of the hippie thing in the 60s, right? And it inspired me, but by the time we were in high school, that it was kind of over. The war was over. The hippies had moved on, and so all that was left of rock and roll was sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And I got nothing against sex, drugs, or rock and roll, but it didn't really speak to us and what we were feeling. Like, the hippies brought all these amazing ideas to the table of revolution and changing what was wrong in the world. And yet, once the war was over, that was it, right? And then I thought, like, well, those problems didn't get solved, right? Pollution, equal rights, civil rights, all the bullshit that was happening before. They talked about it, things had changed, but they still needed to change a lot. And then the summer of 1977, I heard Elvis Costello on the local radio station. They played his whole My Name Is True album. And then Robert Hilburn, the big rock critic of the LA Times, was writing about the Sex Pistols. And, we saw that. And I'm all, this is cool. We started listening to punk rock. And then a few months later in 78 was the spring, I think, right, Mark, when we went to the Whiskey and we saw
Dickies.
The Dickies was the first punk band we saw.
Is that right?
And it blew our minds. I mean, we were sitting upstairs because, we were 16, 17 at that point. And we were sitting upstairs watching this show. And after the show, I turned to Mark and I said, because we had a band at that point. We were just doing covers, you know, Led Zeppelin and Jimi Hendrix stuff, all the stuff we were just talking about. And after that, I said, no more covers. We're going to write our own stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting. We've said this many times, like that early wave. What was sort of fell under the umbrella of punk rock, you know, like Tom Petty, Elvis Costello, like, you know, like. But sure, I mean, you know, record labels. But looking back in retrospect, it's funny who sort of got pulled in that undertow there. You know, like I said, Tom Petty was like first punk. You know, like
it was. You know, in those days they started calling it new wave if you weren't like super punk rock.
That's right. That's right.
But I mean, then they used to start having shows at the Starwood, and we would go there because basically what was happening is, a lot of the clubs would do punk rock early on, and then there would be a problem. You know, the cops would come, or there'd be fights. Or the early days of the punk scene in LA was pretty mellow. It really, the first time there was really anything crazy was the Elks Lodge, which was '79, I think, right?
Mm-hmm. And who was that? Was that Black Flag?
No, this was before Black Flag. This was the days of the
it was like middle class. Middle class and
Weirdos.
Okay, sure.
The Germs,
right?
F Word, the Bags,
Screamers,
stuff like that. And I don't remember.
That's how different everything was. You had bands like the Screamers, the Eyes, the Controllers, the Bags. I mean, everything was so you just did whatever you want. You know, the Go-Go's. You know,
I guess it's fair to say that like. Those were like LA's original punk.
Oh, absolutely.
100%. Yeah.
For sure.
X,
that's where it started.
Francis Sawyer, was X a part of that that early on?
Yeah.
They were there.
Extremes. I don't know who the Extremes are. Yeah.
That was our band.
That was our punk band that morphed into more electronic, and then I left, and that lasted for what, a year and a half.
I see.
Yeah.
So why did you, Shawn, gravitate to guitar, and Mark, you drums? Like, how did that stuff get sorted out?
I don't know, because there's a picture of us really young with instruments, and I had the guitar.
Yeah, and I was on the drums, I think. It was on the TV Guide in Canada. It's funny because I remember our grandfather was visiting us from Canada one summer, and we were bored because basically when we started surfing when we were about 13, 14 years old, and when there were no waves in the summertime, there wasn't much for us to do, and we were always bored. And he was visiting, and he said, well, why don't you guys play some music, you know, pick up a guitar or something? Because he was self-taught piano player, and that's what happened. And I don't know why I picked up guitar. Maybe Mark was had a lot of aggression to get out, so that's why he picked the drums. I have no idea.
Yeah. And for anyone out there that's thinking about an instrument, the drums are a pain in the ass. Like, you're the first guy there, you got the most stuff to set up, and you're the last guy to leave. Bad choice.
Drummers are a unique breed. You know, I wanted a drum set for like my 9th birthday, and my dad, they didn't get it for me. And to this day, my dad says he regrets not getting me a drum set. You know, as a young person, I so badly wanted it, but you know, I guess it would have drove my mother nuts and me banging away on drums. But what could have been. So walk us through like what the first band and or whatever the early bands were, and then, you know, how did Youth Brigade come together in 1980?
So the first band was a high school band. It was me and Mark and this friend of ours named Scott. And it was called Mess. And originally we had been just doing I think we were doing covers just for fun. I don't even know if Scott was in the band. We were playing backyard parties, and then we started writing our own stuff. And then when we started going up to Hollywood and hanging out with, you know, the punk people, because there was literally, when we were in high school, there was 2 punk rock people in our school when we were discovering punk rock, which one of them was Pleasant Gaiman, who put out the fanzine Lobotomy and was later in the Screaming Sirens. But those people, we met other people that were hanging out in the scene in Hollywood, which at the time In the summer of '78 was when the Generation X album came out, and that song 100 Punks was pretty much defined the scene in LA. That was about, it wasn't much more than 100 punks. And everybody hung out at the Canterbury Hotel and would go to the Mask for shows. And that's when we started Up the Extremes.
Well, it was an apartment building. That's where everyone lived there.
Yeah, at the Canterbury, yeah. And
You
then
know, go ahead.
the Mask was in the basement of a porn theater down the street, like half a block from the Canterbury.
Is that I had Kira was on the show, and she was talking about like a rehearsal place, performance space that off I think off Hollywood Boulevard.
Yeah,
That's the Mask.
Yeah.
That's the
Okay.
Mask.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, Kira, us two, and a handful of other people were probably the few teenagers that were around at that time.
Right.
Most everybody else was in their 20s up to their 40s. It was a very arty scene, super, super cool people.
Yeah.
But, they were looking to get signed to a label because that was what people did. And we always thought, shit, when the punk rockers, when the surfers get involved in punk rock, things are going to blow up. And that's when we got this house called Skinhead Manor.
Right.
And we started Youth Brigade, which originally was, how many people were in it? 6?
6.
Yeah. We had 2 of our friends singing, and they couldn't sing.
Singing backups.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw Glenn, our friend Glenn E. Friedman made this post recently. I guess this is you outside the Skinhead Manor. And what was Skinhead Manor? Was it a did you guys live there?
Yeah, big old house that we rented from this 95-year-old woman. This thing was so run down, but we just built inside it. We put a stage in there, rehearsal space. Then we built up the whole attic space too. It was about 10 bedrooms, all in all. So a lot of people lived there.
Yeah, we set up. Some guy came and was living there for a minute. Well, remember the drag queen guy that came and lived there for a while?
Opera singer.
Did you vet these people out at all? Like, how did
In the beginning, it was our friends, and then after a while, we would take anybody just to fill the room.
Yeah, no, but that guy was awesome because before we even what happened was we really liked the Specials and Madness because it was around the time, late 70s, early 80s of the two-tone stuff.
Yeah,
and we thought,
sure.
this is cool, and I started doing some vocal classes at Santa Monica City College, and I had to sing a song every week. And everybody was singing, the pop songs of the day, and me, I liked sort of swing music, and so I was doing deep dives into swing bands from the 20s and 30s and 40s, and finding songs that had vocals. And so I came upon the idea of let's start a band that's not a ska band, but like a swing punk band. And we originally were called the Swing Skins Brigade.
Right.
But it was pretty difficult to find horn players in those days. And most of the people that came out of recycler ads, those were the newspaper before the internet, were nerds from high school bands. And they were freaked out when they came in. And they, Mark was like,
when they got to Skinhead Manor.
Yeah, Mark's all, you got to shave your head. And the guys were like, no, I can't do that. And to be honest, we weren't good enough musicians at the time to be able to do it. And that guy who was living at the house, he was amazing. We were doing a rehearsal and we just couldn't pull it off. And he jumped up and goes, no, you got to do it like this. And he was singing, he was belting it out. And we were just blown away. Like, this guy was amazing. We had a lot of crazy stories and crazy people come through that place. But basically it was a gathering place. We lived there. I don't even think it lasted more than a year, maybe.
Yeah, like a year and a half, I think.
Where was it exactly?
Hollywood, around the corner from Hollywood High.
Yeah, like Sunset and Highland.
Yeah,
wow. And I'm sure it's long gone, right?
Oh yeah, it's condos
now.
Yeah.
So after we left, somebody mysteriously burned it down. I won't say Eugene, but yeah.
Right. Right.
I won't say Eugene either.
Yeah.
Right.
And then then Youth Brigade came out of the ashes of the Swing Skins Brigade and the Skinhead Manor, and that's how it all started.
And Youth Brigade was a 3-piece originally with your other brother, right?
Originally it was a 6-piece, and then like we said, we had these 2 singers and they were not very good, so we broke up. because we didn't have the heart to tell them that, yeah, it's not working out. And then
we broke up, then reformed, but we were a 4-piece.
Yeah, Kevin.
We had Kevin Stanch was our first guitar player.
That was like the great teenage move. Like, we'll break up and then we'll get back together. Hey, the band's over with, and we'll get back together like a week later.
Yeah, and no one would find out about it because it wasn't like you didn't know what was happening, you know.
Right. Yeah. So how does Youth Brigade get going? Was there a roadmap? Was there sort of a template that you felt like when it first came together? Was there a what's the mind looking for? Was there a vision?
A philosophy?
Hell no.
Yeah.
Everything that we've ever done is based on, well, you want to do this? Sure. And it's all DIY. It's always been DIY. We never really had a plan per se. We would just figure it out, right? We want to do a show. We want to start a band. Okay, we start a band. We would be influenced by the bands we like, and we would write songs based on the things that, or I would write lyrics based on the things that I was seeing around me and things that, when I was in high school in my senior year, I had a class, an existential lit class, and then I had a Herman Hesse class. So that was a big influence on the things that I was writing at the time. Like what I was talking about before about how I felt, I can't say I felt betrayed by the hippies. I just thought that was cool what they did, but then they just sort of gave up. And I thought punk rock for me is the continuation of the Beat Generation and the hippies. It's protest music. It's folk music. It's music that's going to go, hopefully, and question the world and inspire people throughout their life to question the problems that are going on and hopefully make them want to go out and try and change things. That's what it was always for me.
100%. I've always said, and I still feel that, hardcore and American punk music is really, it's really Americana. It's really folk music, and there's a lineage from Woody Guthrie on down to American hardcore. I've always felt that way. Early on, when you got out there on the ball field, Mark, who were your peers? Who did you play with, or who was like in your orbit?
As far as playing?
Yeah, like what other bands were like? Did you play with that were like in your circuit?
Well, I mean, we were really influenced by a lot of the English bands, like Stiff Little Fingers, and then later like the Upstarts and Cockney Rejects, and and then the next wave of bands that came out. And I think a lot of California too had we were a lot more melodic, so the Oi music for us was a big influence. And then we do shows with our friends like Social Distortion, or a lot of OC bands like China White, or who else we play with? Adolescence, yeah. We'd all play together and we'd set up shows, and a lot of times we'd just go get a hall. I was doing a lot of hall shows, just put bills together, MIA. We get halls because there wasn't really any clubs to play. We couldn't really do any clubs at that time. So it was like sportsmen's lodges, rental halls. Then Golden Boy started Gary was doing shows. Well, actually, early on we had a club called Godzilla, so that would.
Well, I was kind of that's.
He was leaning into that.
Oh, you're leaning me into that. That one just.
But I like what you're cooking, man, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, and that's Godzilla's was kind of the thing that brought everybody together. It wasn't that long. I think it lasted 6 months, 8 months.
I mean, we were there for about 4. And they try to keep doing it after we left for maybe another 30, 40 days. Yeah, so not even 6 months.
Those are some good lineups.
I mean, look at these lineups: Mau's Channel 3 Minutemen, Caustic Cause, and then the very next night, China White, Aggression, Saccharine Trust, and Salvation Army. Coming soon, DOA and the Bad Brains.
Yeah, we had some good stuff. And the place was like a swap meet.
It was huge.
Massive place. Yeah, this friend of mine, Kurt Mosier, he played in No Crisis, and he's like, man, I'm doing tile with this guy, and he wants to open a club. You want to book it? And so I'm like, yeah, sure. We went out and checked the place out. And what happened was they didn't really have the permits. The place there was a bar in there. There was sort of a 600 capacity disco room, and then the back part was a what was it, 1,500 capacity?
Yeah.
1,500.
What was the space? Was the space
like swap, like a giant warehouse? They do swap meets every once in a while.
No, but I mean, we only used half of the space. The other half was just shut down. I think, didn't there used to be a skating rink in there at one point?
A bowling alley?
Bowling alley, I heard, yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
It's so we're like, yeah, we'll take it over. We'll hire all our friends, and all our friends with security. We had a restaurant. Everything was like, burgers $1, fries are $1, beer is $1. If it's every show is $5. If it's an overseas band, it was $6.
Wow.
And we made the guys money back in the first 2 weekends, and bands are getting paid well. And the guy just got greedy, and he tried to take over. Like, oh, I can do this, and push us out, and the whole thing fell apart. He tried to get the middleman guy out, who had these fake permits, and then he got the cops involved. And it's like, hey, you just opened up a whole can of worms. So they shut the big room down. We started doing benefits in the small room to reopen it. He just started pocketing the money, and we split.
Was it?
We came out there
in Sun Valley. Was it
Sun Valley? Yeah.
Yeah. So
we
it's
had
like
just bought
20 minutes from Hollywood.
Yeah, we had just bought the school bus that we used in Another State of Mind, and everybody left the club. Right, all our friends. We walked out on it. He tried to bring a real security company in. A couple people stayed. We had the bus, like someone's going to get their head kicked in, spray painted on the side of it, blasting the song, pulling up to the club, slash his tires, beat the shit out of the two guys that stayed, and rushed the door with like 30 people.
Yeah. Yeah, we had
the good old days.
Yeah. That was at the Damn show that you booked, Mark.
Yeah, I booked, and they stole it. The last
show you booked it, they kept it. They did it even though we weren't there, and that was a somebody's going to get their head kicked in night.
That was.
Mark, how did you kind of, and I'm assuming here, how did you and why did you gravitate to kind of like booking and like, early on, it seems like you guys kind of gravitated to certain things.
It's just out of necessity, like needed to get it done. And I talked to a lot of people, so I'm always talking with bands and, our friends. And so we just start scheming, ideas and setting stuff up. And it was the only way because it's not like we were going to sit around and, it was Frank.
Yeah, it was totally
ruined it.
And that's by the way, Texas Rebel. That's John Dunn who played in Iron Cross.
Yes.
John
is correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are correct.
Yes, John. That would be Frank.
That was the guy who would put up the money for the place and kind of screwed it all up. Sadly.
Yeah. And then this guy Richard Bolton tried to book it.
Oh yeah, Richard Bolton got a beating.
He got a taste. The LA Weekly wrote about that one.
Yeah.
And so it goes. So early on, Youth Brigade, I know you recorded early on. You kind of went out on the road, and we'll get to the Another State of Mind stuff. But I'm just going with the first recording. You guys recorded, weren't really happy with it, came back and re-recorded it. Is that fair to say?
What happened was we decided that like everything, as I was saying earlier, we never really had a plan. We just we were always about DIY, adapting, figure it out, right? We didn't know, when we were playing shows, and then, like Mark was saying, clubs were closing down. They wouldn't do punk shows. They were freaked out. We would just put on our own shows, DIY, well, we want to do a show. We'll go and we'll find a place. We'll find a hall. We'll rent a hall, In fact, after Godzilla's, we went and did a show called Youth Movement 82 at the Hollywood Palladium. And that point, that was the biggest local punk show that in LA that had ever been done. I mean, I think we had 3,500 tickets sold. It was us, Social Distortion, Wasted Youth, the Blade, TSOL. Yeah, it was crazy. That was another crazy story. And so then we realized, okay, well, we want to go out and put a record out. And we thought, well, let's not just go in the studio and record a record for ourselves. Because we were all about the community, right? When we would do shows, we would always play shows with other bands that we really liked, that were our friends, because we were trying to work together, to build the scene. That was important for us, And so we thought, all right, let's put a record out. We'll do a compilation. We'll do some of our stuff. We'll work, because we sort of brought that philosophy together at Godzilla's. When I was the one that put the security together, I said, all these stupid fights that are starting at shows are usually these dumb territorial things. I'm from here and you're from there, therefore we have to fight. And I'd say, bullshit. We all like this music. We all have similar ideas. Why are we fighting? So I said, I'm going to put together security that's us, not some people who aren't in the scene. I'm going to get the big guys that I know, crazy guys, and say, if there's a fight that breaks out, it's a peer pressure thing. Chances are one of the security guys is going to know some of these people or be friends with a friend and would be able to break up the fight. And
you'd have like guys from Ventura or guys from LA or guys from this area. So we had enough people that someone would know somebody,
Yeah. And so that helps to quell any crazy fights. And, we would, anything that would start up, we would be like, this is your club, right? This is our thing all together. So don't start fucking up the scene. That was an important part of what BYO started, what BYO was about, pushing the positive things about punk rock, because we'd seen, and you may remember, some of those TV shows that people would go on,
Quincy, Dragnet.
Yeah, and then the talk shows, Geraldo Rivera was having
right.
the fucking Nazi idiots on
that's
there,
right.
all that kind of stuff. And there were other ones where my daughter is a punk rocker and I don't know what to do, all that kind of stupid shit. And I'm tired of seeing all these bad images portrayed. That was one of the impetuses for us to start BYO, was let's show the world that we are not a bunch of dumb kids who put safety pins through our cheeks and stab, cut ourselves and do horrible things and smash each other in a pit. Let's talk about the positive aspects of punk rock. And that's
sure.
So when we started the label, the first record we did was Someone Got Their Head Kicked In. Then we got the idea, hey, let's go do a tour. How did we do the tour? Well, this was before the internet. We would write to people. I booked the tour. I was going through phone books, and then I don't know if you know the story. If we talk about it in the documentary that we did, the 20-year anniversary of BYO and Youth Brigade, how there was credit card numbers attached to the phones, right? And the Yippies actually published a poster when they had their smoke in DC, and there was a cartoon of naked Ronald and Nancy Reagan smoking weed, and on the back was a list of all these phone credit card numbers from the FBI and the CIA,
Exxon,
Coca-Cola, all that shit, right? And then they broke the code because basically AT&T was the only phone company at the time.
Yep.
And the credit card was basically your phone number plus 4 digits at the end. And someone said the 4 digits, here's the code on how you figure out the 4 digits. So you could go in the phone book and take any phone number, figure out the 4 digits. Now you had a credit card, right? So that's how
you'd get like a month out of it of just bang. You get like 30 days. Because of course you'd give it to everybody in your band and everybody else, so everybody would just go buck wild on it, and you get 30 days until you get your hands on the next one.
Well, if it wasn't for that, the punk scene would have never gotten as big as it did. That helped fund all the tours in the day. There's no way you could have done it.
Many times we brought this up. When I was in Boston in 81, 82, Black Flag came to town, and Dukowski gave us like Exxon's number, and we went buck wild. Everybody we were down on the payphone. People were down there, what's up? Yeah. Talking to people in Oregon,
No, and originally we were calling off of our phones in the house, and then we started getting calls from AT&T going, hey, and that's when we were like, okay, we need to move this to payphones. So like you said, originally those numbers would last a while, And then it got to the point where they last a couple of days if you're lucky.
Yeah. No, they got hit.
Yeah,
They got
but
hip to it. They didn't understand what it was.
No.
They sort of they thought it was like some kind of a cult or what. They didn't understand what we were.
Well, the thing is that the big corporations didn't really notice it in their bill.
Yeah,
You couldn't
right.
use somebody's personal card, but
Right.
That's
his corporation, they weren't seeing it, so they weren't being, alerted to the fact that they were getting massive phone calls.
Yep.
But it got
Hey,
to the point where you'd call your friend in like, Montreal. Hey, you got a card? What do you got?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like,
Hey,
I got
Josh,
a new one.
Hey, Josh, hardcore legends. Katie, the cleaning lady, was in Boston. Does the same. That's the numbers we all had. The SSD control guys, Katie, the cleaning lady. That was all our crew, and those are the numbers that we had and that we passed around. I mean, later on, remember that thing you'd hold to the phone? It would make the noise of the coins going in. I forgot what you call that thing. But that was later on, like in the. But you had that. But yeah, I mean, the way there was no roadmap, right, Shawn? I mean, there was no roadmap to this stuff early on.
Yeah, but I mean, all this DIY, a big part of DIY is just being curious and asking the right questions. So when we decided to start the label, we just went to there was a pressing plant in Hollywood, and I just, Mark and I went down. We talked to this guy, Max, who ran G&M Labels, and we just started talking. This old German guy, super nice guy. And we said, okay, tell us what we need to do. And he sort of explained it. And then he said, you got to go and get it. You got to go to James G. Lee down in the South Bay. And they're the ones that are going to make the acetate and process it, right? And then you go next door to, at the time was Alco, was the pressing plant. And then we go in there and we talk to the guy. Everybody was super nice. They were in the business of making records. They didn't care what the music was. Sure. So we figured it out. We learned. We asked questions. That's how you do these things, right? So we made the compilation. That's how we met Doug Moody from Mystic. No, it was Mistake. So he helped us too, but he also, he gave us a lot of information. He helped us, but then he also tried to rip us off, and so that's why we never worked with him after that.
Right.
But we made the recording in the studio, and we were happy with the recording. But we thought when we went out and did the tour, Another State of Mind, and when we got the records, the Youth Brigade record wasn't finished before we left. So we got it on the road, and when we listened to it, it sounded like the mix was horrible. I think maybe we left them.
The mastering.
It turned out it was the mastering, but at the time we thought it was the mix.
Mm-hmm.
And so we just said, don't sell any more of these. And when we came back, we had already written a bunch of songs, including Sick of California. So we said, let's go back in the studio and redo this record and add on these new songs. And we were lucky enough to, I don't even know how we got in contact with Tom Wilson, because I think he had
just done TSOL.
Right.
He just did the TSOL record. We were like, we need someone like that, right? So we brought Tom in, who just killed it. I could hear a record and know if it was Tom Wilson's production.
Jackie Grisham said, like Tom Wilson was like the unsung hero of when I asked him, who from that, was never kind of got their, just desserts, and he's Tom Wilson.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Tom, because, Tom didn't need to do this. He did it because he loved the music. He had a gig. He worked on Roseanne, a TV show, so he didn't need to do this. He did it because he loved it. Right. So definitely he's the unsung hero. Two other unsung heroes people may or may not know of is Brendan Mullen, who is the guy that started The Mask. He was the main guy that was pushing the early punk rock scene. He also played, what was the band he played in? That cocktail band that was awesome. I can't remember the name. Escapes me now. And then Gary Tovar, who started Golden Voice, who still to this day, both of them, people need to know how important they were to the scene.
Right.
Like the scene, people that are kind of behind the scenes, but without them, you would not have a scene, because unfortunately, not all musicians are, the go-getters to
Is that right? Hal Negro and the Satin
Hal
Tones?
Negro and the Satin Tones. That's right.
Thank you.
Yes. Christopher. Yeah. Well, we've always said, right, different people bring different things to the party, and that's what makes the whole. And that's just such a big part of not just the early DIY scene, but the kids that are doing it now. I mean, there's plenty. I see teenage kids doing it now, and it's the same but different. But it's great. I love to see it, man. I love to see it.
Life is constantly changing. That's the world we live in. Without change, what a boring world would we live in.
Yeah.
Some change is great. Some change is not change. It's harkening back to old days. But the kids, like you said, I really thought that after that election in 2016, we were going to see a bunch of young kids start punk bands. But it took COVID to really make that change. But there's so many new young bands over the last 8-10 years that's just. I'm really inspired by it, I have to say.
Yeah, and even here in New York, there's like a whole, people say to me, "Hey, yo, what's happening with the New York hardcore scene?" And I go, "Which one?"
Yeah.
When we were kind of coming up in the first wave, it was a real us against them mentality. Now it's like, which scene are you talking about? There's 5 different New York hardcore scenes going on, and unfortunately, I feel like things are in a lot of ways pretty segregated, and they don't want anything to do with each other, which is a little disappointing. I mean, there is some overlap, but people have their thing and their insular thing, and it's interesting.
A lot of it is the older fans don't really grasp on to some of the newer bands, that are worthy of it.
Yeah.
I think that if you love punk rock music, it doesn't matter if you're young or you're old. It just matters that the music is something that you like and it's good. It doesn't. The age thing to me is stupid. It's just another division, right?
Sure.
Too many people get stuck up in stupid divisions that don't make any sense. You love music. You love music. It doesn't matter if it was made by a 75-year-old or a 15-year-old. Good music is good music.
100%.
Is that a push for your new record?
Do I have a new record? Oh, I just want to say, hey, Robert, yes, of course we remember our shows in Warsaw in 1984. 2 in one day.
Is Warsaw as in Warsaw, Poland?
Yeah. We played in Poland in 84 on our first tour of Europe. Yeah. We had an English van that used to be, I guess it was the Who's roadies van.
Wow.
Yeah, so we were there for 2 weeks. We weren't supposed to be there for 2 weeks, but the clutch burned out, so we were stuck.
I just posted a picture from that Warsaw show 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Somebody sent it. You and Adam on stage from Warsaw.
About we mentioned the Another State of Mind doc, and just a couple of things off my notes, like kind of an incredible feat to pull that off in 1982. Knowing what I know, having growing up in the film business and being a documentary filmmaker, in 1982, it was extremely difficult to get to shoot something like that, drag the equipment around to shoot something like that, be able to pull that, have the lights, and so that alone, that's Adam Small and Peter Stewart. How did they come into the picture? Were they friends of yours? How did this come to be?
We went to high school together, and actually, Peter lived at Skinhead Manor for all of 2 or 3 months. Then he
not long.
Yeah, it was not his thing. But you know what? I just went and saw this movie called Watt Stacks that just was released from this movie that was documentary that was made about this Watts. Stax Records did this Watts show at the Coliseum back in I think 72.
Huh.
And it was Peter Stewart's dad who made that. Peter Stewart's dad made Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
He directed it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And Adam Small was in one of the main guys in Living Color, right?
Writer, yeah.
Yeah, he was one of the main writers.
Later, after this movie.
Yeah, sure. Of course, after. Yeah.
But basically, Adam had met some millionaire guy who wanted him to wanted Adam to film him on his island and on his boat. So he had access to all this video equipment, and he just dealt with the guy's secretary. So he's like, hey, we'll come out at our expense. We'll get a truck. I'm just billing everything to this guy's, account. And they got a truck, and they just brought the equipment, and followed us in the bus, and they had no storyline, but the bus.
I knew there was a
became
catch
a
to
story.
it.
Yeah.
I knew there was a rub.
Yeah, there always.
Yeah, I knew there was a
Yeah.
rub because I'm thinking, how the fuck did just knowing from those days, and so that was shot on early primitive video, right?
Beta.
Yeah, massive
Beta.
cameras.
Oh,
and-
they shot beta.
Yeah,
The forgotten format, right?
Yeah, he
Beta.
had good equipment, and the sad thing about that movie, I will tell you, is that there is a lot of footage in that movie that they just didn't use. And they,
of course,
when they came to us and said, "Hey, we want to do this," we said, "Sure, it sounds awesome." The only caveat is that we are allowed to sit with you in the editing room and go through this all. And they said, "Yeah, sure, no problem." And then they just blew us off, which pissed us off. There are shots of Minor Threat that are not included. There's a show that we did in New York City at 2+2 with Social Distortion, where there's Mike talks about it, about this fight that happened in New York. That was a crazy night. There was footage. Vice Squad played a bunch of those shows on the west coast of Canada and in British Columbia, and I think we play Edmonton, Calgary,
Winnipeg, yeah.
Winnipeg, Edmonton, and Winnipeg, not Calgary, because Calgary played the Calgarian. That was not Vice Squad. But there's so much good stuff in there that just got left out because we should have learned from our father. Like, don't let the director take control. But
and you never got your hands on the dailies.
we asked for their 40 hours of footage, and we said, "Let us have it. We'll do something." No, they sold the movie to these porn guys because in those days they were the only people that were making videotapes.
Right.
That's what they ended up doing eventually because they couldn't. They tried putting in theaters. It didn't do much.
Wow. Watching the film again, which I did this week, it was like I was confused because you guys are in New York. You're on the subway. In New York. I think. What did you visit the Statue of Liberty? And then I have this flyer in the archive, which is from '83, which is from Gildersleeves.
Yeah.
And it says Youth Brigade first New York appearance. So it kind of confused me because I know the 2+2 thing was before this, right?
Yeah, I don't know who made that flyer, but it was definitely, wasn't our first time.
That confused me. Yeah.
That wasn't that Gildersleeves was just a block away from CB's, and Void came on to play it, and the guy blew his knee out he jumped up in the air on the first
broke
song.
His leg.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was there. I saw it. And then the show had to stop, and they had to come and
take him out on a stretcher, didn't they?
Yeah, they took him out. The show stopped. The Void show. First song, he jumped and broke his leg.
It's fucking crazy.
Yeah, Gildersleeves is a weird place. It's like you always hear, CBGBs and this and that, but Gildersleeves was a block away, and it was sort of like here. I got it here. It was like an unsung kind of place. It was. I saw some great shows there. I saw the Misfits there. I saw Minor Threat there. For a minute there, they had here it is. And what's interesting is it is next door to the Bowery Electric where we do the all ages matinees now. And people have no idea. And I say, I want to show you something. I step over and I bring this picture up on my phone because it lines right. The facade of the building is still the same, So, yeah. So the two, and interestingly enough, you bring up the 2+2. So that was the first New York show.
Yeah.
I just posted a 2+2.
That was our first New York show. That was our first time in New York. Yep.
Any thoughts on the first kind of New York trip?
I loved it. I mean, the people were super, super nice, and we met Roger and Vinny that trip. Not under the best circumstances, but they were super cool. Yeah. But Vinny, was it Vinny's? The bottle didn't Mike threw a bottle of Old English into the crowd and it broke. Was it Roger's knee? I think. Yeah.
It was Vinny.
Oh, it was Vinny's knee.
Vinny.
And
there was a fight upstairs. We broke the fight up. Went down on the street. We're like, it's cool. All right, just get him out of here. He's drunk. All right. And then he threw the bottle, and we're
like, oh man, you're on your own, Mike.
Yeah. He randomly hurled a bottle into the young, violent New York hardcore crowd.
After a fight had been broken up between him and that big Russian dude.
Oh, Booby,
yeah.
Booby, yeah. Yeah,
I mean, Mike's a tough guy. I've seen Mike knock people out one punch, so he could throw down. But he was just drunk and just being obnoxious. I don't know how the whole thing
they're all everybody's friends now.
Of course, absolutely.
Yeah, it was. I'm looking for. I just posted I had a A7 a very rare A7 2+2 picture, which was like it's almost like an abandoned warehouse on Houston Street, and it was Dave from the A7 somehow got access to this thing.
Yeah.
I don't think there was a stage in there. It was it was nasty. It was early New York hardcore.
I mean, I don't even think the first band went on till midnight.
Yeah. Well, that was A7, man. Like when I was in the High and the Mighty, we'd show up at midnight and hang out till 4 a.m. to play. And you'd be playing at 4 a.m, man. It's like, jeez, man.
Yeah.
You know, I got to ask, what happened? Let me put this back up. What happened to the bus? You know, we were talking about at the end of the film, you kind of leave the bus behind. And I was thinking, like, that bus, kind of like the Further bus for the Merry Pranksters, like that bus, like almost should. That's something that should be in the punk rock museum. Did you the bus was left behind? Did you have to deal with it after that, or did it just sort of go away?
They just left it. We left it in Dallas.
We left it in Dallas. It made it all the way to Dallas, and then it died. And then we met that guy then we went out and did a little short tour to go get the bus. When we played in December, we went out and we ended up playing with Husker Du, right?
Yeah,
it was free.
Adam was dating this girl and she had a van, and then and he wanted to break up with her. We had already set the tour up. And we go, hey, you need to stay with her so that we could finish this tour.
Listen, this is an anomaly, right? This is a girl with a van. I mean, that's like.
That's not even the worst part, because then we're almost was it outside of Dallas?
Yeah.
Maybe 100 miles outside of Dallas. You know, we make the straight run,
right?
And we threw a rod, and now the van's trashed, and we ended up leaving her van there.
I mean, that bus was a tank. What was that, like an International? Those things. Yeah, those things were like Sherman tank. That was like a Sherman tank, you know. Driving that thing and keeping it on the road, like I've driven an old school bus. The thing has like this much give in the wheel. Oh, yeah. Those things were like.
Yeah, it actually drove pretty good when it was working.
Oh yeah.
We just kept chewing the timing gear up. That was the problem.
Right. Yeah. In the film, like when you take the cover over and you see the timing gear, and it's just trashed.
We would buy extras and just have them. So when we could do the switch up.
Yeah, Adam was a trooper. Adam took one for the team. Yeah, there you go. Here's another one that I had in the archive that I thought was interesting. A Rock Hotel show. A couple years later, might have been '85. Youth Brigade 7 Seconds at the Rock Hotel. Was New York a special place for you guys? Did you enjoy coming to New York?
Loved it.
Yeah, New York was always.
Andy Warhol was at the show.
Yeah, we were on stage, and I said, "Hey, Mark, look up at this little balcony. Take a look." And there's fucking Andy Warhol standing there watching us play. So that was pretty interesting.
Wow. Yeah, those shows were great. We talked in the old Rock Hotel on Jane Street. You know, it's like it's still there. It's not a. It's like. Yeah, it's more of a like boutique hotel. Now I showed pictures of it on the last show. It's a boutique hotel now, and let me see if I have.
Do you know that guy Chris, who used to be the guy who ran it?
Yes, of course, Chris Williamson.
Yeah,
Chris Williamson.
Yeah.
He's the guy that started Rock Hotel Records, put out Crow Mags and Murphy's Law. A bit of a controversial figure here in New York, you know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he was super cool to us, but our experience was just as a promoter.
Yeah. Where is? I'm looking for. You got to see what the Rock Hotel looks like these days. Oh, is this it? It's like a lounge now.
Hmm.
Hold on, let me just see.
Why don't we play Wet Price Happiness? I don't even know if we ever played Wet Price Happiness live. Maybe a couple times. And yes, rest in peace, Monk. Monk was the guy in Another State of Mind that was fixing the bus all the time. He was the Social Distortion all around tech guy. He could pretty much do just about anything.
He hung in there till the end in the film.
Yeah, he
right?
did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't really see it, but at the end, we jumped the remainder, us last few remaining people in Another State of Mind. We jumped into the camera van and drove from Texas back to LA in the back of that truck, that box truck. That was
all right. Fun. Once again, this is the front of the Rock Hotel these days, right? Which is on Jane Street. Like I said, it's a very nice,
Wow.
yeah. Sad. And the room that you played in with the balcony at Andy Warhol, they've turned it into
like a lounge room with couches. No.
There you go.
It seems so much smaller.
Yeah, they through those archways, there's like a lounges there. They kind of cut it up a little bit, but
yeah, okay.
Do you know
pretty big?
This was brought up in the last show. That hotel is where they brought the survivors from the Titanic when they brought them into port. Right there. That's where they put them up when they brought the survivors of the Titanic back.
Yeah. Wow.
So yeah, rich in history. So that said, yeah, it's a swank hotel. Before we head to a sponsor break for a couple minutes, let's. I know it's hard, and we're not touching on everything, but the Youth Brigade thing for you guys seems like it's something that you guys have returned to time and time again. What's the take on it now? I mean, I know you're playing punk rock bowling again, but did it ever really leave? Is it something that you enjoy revisiting every now and then?
I mean, yeah, we love to play.
Yeah, we have fun playing. If we didn't enjoy it, we wouldn't do it, right? Mm-hmm. It's just that we never were a band that was about like, let's go and become big rock stars and make money. We were just, we got stuff to say, we want to say it, and we had fun touring and meeting other bands and meeting people, and so we'll keep doing it as long as we're having a good time. Oh yeah, the happy hour.
Yeah. In doing my homework, one record that I really, really enjoyed and kept coming back to again and again is this record.
The Split. Oh, that, yeah.
That's what Johnny Two Bags playing. He's playing on that with us.
Is that weird that like this one in retrospect would sort of really? I just really love this record and just kept coming back to it this week. And Johnny plays on it, right?
Yeah. Johnny was in the band at the time, and so he actually wrote one of the songs and sings one of the songs.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
He wrote 2 songs on the record and sings one of the songs that he wrote.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that record.
Is this the last full studio album you did?
Yeah.
I like this record a lot. Yeah. Good
stuff.
Stuff.
I mean, there's definitely some classic songs on that one, man. People.
And here's just another one. This is Alex's Bar. I grabbed this one. Great shot. You know?
Yeah.
That's a fun place to play, huh?
Yeah. Always.
Yeah. So, is when and after the break we'll get into some punk rock bowling. But when you're getting back together for punk rock bowling, is it a one-off thing, or are you guys going to play some more in other places?
We'll be doing some warm up shows around LA. I don't know any more than that.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah.
We might, we always do. We started just like flying to areas that we like to play and just like
Yeah.
play those towns. And the way we always did our tour as well would be like, okay, we're going to get to New York. We'll do New York on like Saturday because then we could have Sunday off.
Sure.
Like places that we want. Like
Sure.
we're not going to do a show the next day after being in New York or other places that we enjoy, like in Europe. When we're in Europe, same difference. Like these are towns we want to hang out in. Take 2 days off here. It's all we like to go hang out.
Yeah.
Play and.
Yeah, it's
we're not making any money, so.
Yeah, it's been right. I mean, it's become a little difficult to be like, let's get in the van for a week. Like that's not happening. Listen, even we're on a much smaller level, but we're coming out to play punk rock bowling, and we really appreciate it. And it's like, there was a voice. So it was, hey, maybe we should play here and there. And I'm like, you know what? No, let's go. Let's enjoy it. Because as you guys know, in doing these things, less is more, man. It's like, we've made that mistake enough of, we're playing San Francisco. Well, let's do LA the day before. And then you're just shot, it's just not fun.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. Well, we're not getting any younger, so.
Yeah. There you go.
I am out here.
We're not in our 20s anymore, or 30s, or even 40s.
Is that right? Kim says, I'm hoping Johnny Two Bags plays at least one song with Youth Brigade at Punk Rock Bowling. Ooh.
Yeah, Mark was talking about that. Who knows?
Yeah.
Johnny's a busy
we'll have to talk to Johnny.
Johnny, of course, probably everybody knows this, but Johnny plays with Mike in Social Distortion. So.
Which is perfect for him. He would bring songs to us, and I'd be all, that's a great song, Johnny, but it would be much better if you were in Social Distortion.
Then he got the gig.
Yeah. Sounds like a Social Distortion song.
Pretty much. Yeah.
That said. Hey, let me take a sponsor break, and we'll come back and let's talk about punk rock bowling, okay?
Okay,
Sure.
I'll see you in about 5 minutes. There you have it. It's the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. Our guests today, Adam and Shawn Stern of Youth Brigade and Punk Rock Bowling. Second half of the show, we're going to get into punk rock bowling, and then we'll take another quick break, and we will take questions from around the world. I know people have been posting questions all along, but you might have to repost them. I'm having a good time. I hope that you are too. And here is a word from our sponsors. Since 1992, Generation Records has been a mainstay of the New York metropolitan area music scene. Today, they offer a diverse selection of new and used rock, jazz, indie, hip-hop, punk, hardcore, metal, blues, soundtrack, and reggae LPs, as well as t-shirts, posters, and other merchandise. They buy used record collections and music memorabilia and will pay you top dollar for them. House calls made for large collections in the tri-state area. Call or email generationrecords@gmail.com and follow them on Facebook and Instagram.
Will that be cash or in debt?
Do you mean debit?
Yes. Sorry. Another eternally satisfied customer.
Yo, what's happening? I'm out here at one of our all-ages Sunday matinees on the Bowery. I hope that you are enjoying today's show. I just want to let you know that the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live needs your support. Please step up. There is a Patreon page that has a lot of unique program. Shows are announced there first. Lots of good stuff. There's a PayPal address right there on the screen if you want to make a contribution. There's also a super chat function. You could do that, but the bottom line is this show exists because of your support. We're going to be doing it for a long, long time. Thank you for all your support through the years. Back to the show.
Conditioned by indoctrination, conditioned by society. Your You're a victim of the digital age, a 21st century casualty. Open your eyes, you're losing control. Open your eyes, put down the phone. Conditioned by misinformation, it's just the media telling us lies. Decipher fiction from the truth, society's slow and tragic demise. Open your eyes, you're losing control. Open your eyes, put down the phone. Everyone's got their fucking...
Come on now, let's get some. We're back. It's the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. Hey, want to mention a couple of upcoming shows. 1 week from today, White Whale, the Goog, Arthur Googie will be on the show. Let's hope this happens. I played with him in Antidote when I joined. Of course, people know him from the Misfits. This should be interesting. Let's hope this really happens. A couple days after that, Merle Allen, by popular demand, Gigi Allen's brother, will be on the show. And a week and a couple days after that, Dave Lombardo will be on. Hell yeah. Slayer, Mr. Bungle, looking forward to it. Travis Nelson, a.k.a. Reverend Sinister of Hub City Stompers, is on Wednesday, March 5th. Sunday, March 9th, Carla Gale from Corrosion. Dina Douglas, photographer, will be on to talk about her fantastic photos on Wednesday, March 12th. Kurt of DRI, Wednesday, March 19th. Adam Blake of H2O, celebrating the 25th anniversary release of Faster Than the World, will be Sunday, March 23rd. Hey, I want to mention a couple of new patrons, and thanks for supporting the show. That's how the show exists. If you're new to the show, please, there's a super chat function that you could do for a couple bucks when it's question time. It comes through in color. I can't miss it. You go to the front of the line. There's a Patreon page that supports this show. There's a PayPal address. It's your support that enables me, in a good way, to do the show. I want to shout out new patrons: Incendiary, Elisa Borgatti, and John Dunn, formerly of Iron Cross. Thank you so much for supporting the show. A couple people that contributed via PayPal: Black Crow Farm, Thomas Fritz, Matthew Gerald, and James Nicholson. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for letting me be. I appreciate it. Want to mention, if you have a communication device, pick it up right now. Follow the show on Stone Films NYC. If you're watching a rerun of the show, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. There is a subscribe link right there. Don't be shy. Let it fly. Reach out to me anytime. I am accessible. It's part of what I do. Oh, there you go. Mike LaRoche, chip in some shekels, you cheap fazzucks. Yeah, the Goog is coming up. Yep. Thank you. Thank you for the super chat. Great show. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying it, and thank you for being a patron. That said, let's clear the deck. What the heck? Let's bring our guests back on. Excuse me. There you go. Okay. Mr. Shawn Stern and Mr. Mark Stern. What are you making a run for it, Mark?
I'm switching places so that my kid can come out of the room.
Oh, right. Ha!
But
these kids today.
I got to duck out in like 20 minutes.
Okay.
If that's
No
okay,
problem.
Shawn could finish. Yeah.
Yeah. No problem. Let's do a hard 15 minutes here. Let's talk about Punk Rock Bowling. What was the impetus? How did it start out? Did it really start out as a bowling thing for just friends?
Yeah, it was. We had a bowling league in LA with just labels, Epitaph, Hopeless, some bands, and we heard Fat was doing something up in San Francisco. So we've been running this thing every week. Everyone show up and have a great time, and we said, well, why don't we just meet in Vegas with, bring the San Francisco teams down, and we did that. Hold on a sec here. These aren't working.
There you go.
Yeah, so then we set it up in Vegas at the Gold Coast. It was how many teams, Shawn?
26.
20 teams. Yeah, something like that. Hold on, my mic's not working right now.
All right.
Shawn,
Hey,
continue.
Yeah.
All right. Shawn, do we still do do you still is
Do
bowling
bowling?
going to be a part
Yes.
of it this year?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we still have bowling. I mean,
Yeah.
it started out as just a fun party. Mark left out the part about Andre, and I have to give Andre credit because he's the unsung hero. He is the one. He used to do a fanzine in Massachusetts. Do you remember the name of it, Mark?
Nope.
Yes.
Mark, what was his last name? Do you
Andre
know?
Duguay. He was promoting shows in the Berkshires back in the 2000s, late 90s, but he was doing
Yeah.
fanzine, I think maybe is in the mid 80s, possibly.
Mhm.
Anyhow, he came to LA, started working at BYO. He's the one who said, "Hey, we should do this bowling, do a bowling league because Fat's doing it." And what he didn't tell us was that he's a really good bowler. So I don't. Yeah, that was the first one.
That's
the
literally
first
the
one.
first one.
That's the
Yeah.
first one. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Basically we thought, oh, let's do it in January, February is slow time for bands. Let's do this. It'll be a party for the weekend for our friends and other bands and other labels and fanzines and stuff. And then the next year we came back and we did it, I think, on President's Day weekend. That's when they used to have still 2 President's Day weekends, and it sold out. And then it just kept growing. And the bowling, it was mainly about the bowling because just about anybody can bowl. And you can also party while you bowl, and you don't have to be a great athlete. And so it just kept growing. We would do a kickoff show on Friday, and then we'd do an awards party on Sunday. Everybody would bowl on Saturday, and the top X amount of teams, as it grew, the playoffs got bigger, but the playoffs were on Sunday. And then we would have a party at the end where we would give out awards to the top teams, and Manic Hispanic would play almost every year at the party. It was a lot of fun. And in 2010 is when we expanded into an actual music festival because a guy came to us who said, "I got this great bowling alley. You should come check it out." And we said, "Well, we don't really care about that." But he said, at this place, I got a great space you can use. It's an amphitheater. You can use it for free. And we said, "Yeah, okay, that's great. We'll do that."
Is that the Las Vegas Amphitheater?
No, that was the Sunset Station. It's a casino out in Henderson.
I see.
Yeah, and then we
moved
moved
around a bunch. Yeah, we moved around a bunch of years from the Gold Coast, and we went downtown. There was a big bowling alley near there. This was before downtown got fixed up, and we stayed at Binion's at the Horseshoe, and then that bowling alley that we had. What was it called? That one? It was the one. It's like the oldest bowling alley.
It was the old Showboat. It was called.
The old Showboat. Wow.
Yeah, but then it changed Castaways.
Castaways.
And
so
it was 112 lanes, I think.
Yeah.
Wow.
Massive. So we're all staying downtown, and we get a call from people like, "Hey, the cops just went down. They just locked the whole place out, kicked people out of the hotel, and they're like closing it down." This is like 3 weeks before Punk Rock Bowling. So we freaking out, and we call on every bowling alley, and we get to this place called Sam's Town, who had a big tournament every year on that weekend.
Yeah.
Just happened to cancel. And they're like, "It's your lucky day," and we got in there.
Blessed.
Got blessed, and we went over there, and we were there for a lot of years there.
I assume through all the years, and I'm putting up a bunch of the flyers. This is a 20th anniversary flyer,
25th.
right?
Oh, that's 20. Yeah, that's
Shepherd
Ferry did that for the 20th.
Yeah. I assume in a certain regard, through the years, you sort of settled in, and it's become maybe a little bit easier in some regard as far as doing it in Vegas, and they know what to expect, and there's vendors that want to. You're smiling. It's not got any easier, has it?
Fuck no.
Oh hell no.
In the world of corporate, promoters,
bullshit.
man, it's tough.
I wouldn't use the word easy. I might say it's a little bit more manageable, perhaps.
Okay.
But it's never easy because there's a lot of, I don't know if you remember, I don't know if you're old enough to remember, but on Ed Sullivan, he used to have those guys would come in and they'd spin the plates.
Sure.
You know, maybe run around. Yeah. So you're always doing that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Sure.
but I mean, it definitely is more manageable, and you know, Vegas is a strange place. I mean, I always tell people who've never been to Vegas, especially people coming from other countries, Vegas is probably the worst of America, but there's also a lot of really amazing things about it. But
Right.
it's the just the kitsch of America, and
Yeah.
it's a strange place to do business. It's definitely changed. I mean, this will be our 25th year there, so it's changed. It's grown quite a bit. You know, there's a lot more people.
And that part of downtown Vegas was sort of like really the original part of Las Vegas before they built the strip out, basically.
Yeah, the
right?
strip didn't exist when Vegas started. It was there. The oldest, one of the two, probably the two oldest casinos are the El Cortez, which was Bugsy's Siegel's place,
Right.
and then
Which is the only place we gamble at. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's the only place that has single deck blackjack downtown anymore.
Wow.
And then I think Golden Gate might have been there even before, although it wasn't a casino, and that's just a little casino a couple doors down from the Golden Nugget, which is right by the festival grounds. So yeah,
well, and the Four Queens, that's in the Binions. Those are super old.
yeah, but I mean, definitely old school. We like it down there because for those people who have never been to punk rock bowling, you come downtown, you never have to get in a car. You can walk to every single club and the venue, and the hotels are all there. You never more than like a 15-minute walk from the venues that we have.
So like wherever you go, you want to hop in a bar or go to a restaurant anywhere, everybody's there for bowling. They take over the whole downtown.
Yeah, I noticed that as soon as there was rumblings that we might play this year or whatever, I mapped it out and I was like, wow, the hotel's right here, the venue's right there, they're doing it here. It's all really centrally located. It doesn't seem like a hassle at all. It seems, and then of course my gal who's been to 6 told me like, yeah, it's a circus, you know. It's a great time, and everybody's sort of. She's telling me like there's people that come and just hang out. They don't even, don't even go. They barely go to any shows. They just like hang out at the pool or at the bar or go to a couple club shows. But this is this year's lineup. Really fantastic. I mean, a lot of bands you know that I'd like to see, and you know I observe being an observant. Seems like there's a couple of frequent flyers that you guys have back, like Cocksparer, The Damned. How does that work? Are there just bands that really resonate with you guys and with the clientele that you just keep bringing them back?
Yeah, I mean, Cocksparer hasn't been there in 5 years, and this will be their final. They're done after this, you know. As far as they're not going to come back to do
Vegas,
the U.S.
Yeah.
And they might still do some European stuff, but you know, it's a trek for them because they're older.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, let's get one last one in here, and they do great at punk rock bowling. People love them. I mean, they're older and they still kill it. They bring it.
Yeah.
You know, they're the best. They're the best time. They just get the whole place singing along, and they're just.
Those are our old, you know, our old roots there, you know.
Fuck yeah.
And I see your old friend Mike. I mean, it really interesting. You know, all these years later, here you are. You know, Mike Ness headlining. You know, you're what a history you have with some of these people.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the first time they've ever played. I have to.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's their first time.
I mean, for me personally. What I'm excited about, of course, I want to see Flag play again. You know, I'm all about Flag. I'm of Cocksparer. I'm excited to see. My gal's excited about Peter Hook.
He's great.
Yeah,
so great.
You know, she's excited about that, and I've never seen the Addicts. So
really
you know, being like an East Coast dude, and you know, always down to see the Damned. And I'm excited for the opportunity to see the Interrupters and Power Trip. I've never seen them play. So
yeah, and I wouldn't sleep on Bad Nerves. They're a really good young band out of England who's definitely checking out.
Yeah.
Spiritual Cramp is from around here on the West Coast, very good. Lambrini Girls also very good. The Baboon Show, interesting. Co-Defendants, also an interesting new band. As you go down the list here, a lot of newer, younger bands.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely worth coming out early and checking them out if you haven't. Shitfire is an awesome band. No Bros, awesome band. So
This band Civic is great from Australia. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you love seeing Spiritual Cramp on the bill?
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah.
Interrupters are awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Co-Defendants.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mike was just down here in Costa Rica and played me the new Co-Defendants. It's so good.
Rick Brust, which Black Flag is flag? This is
It's a good
flat.
one.
This
It's a
is
good one.
This is flat. Now. This
Let's get into it.
This is Flag with Keith Morris fronting, with the Duke playing bass, Bill Stevenson on drums. Dez is this is
A good one.
Yeah,
And Stefan. Yeah, and Stefan
and
on
Stefan,
guitars, yeah.
right? So another thing that is the club shows, and we're really excited, and thank you for the opportunity. We're playing this club show with 7 Seconds, Negative Approach, Effigies. This is a great bill, man. People are psyched about this bill.
Yeah.
How did that's just, of course, just one of the club shows. I have, let me put up another one here. There are a lot of great club shows. Here's how many club shows. I mean, and you're announcing them. You're kind of dribbling them out and keeping the excitement level up. Here's another great one with Street Dogs. These shows are great, man. How do you sort this out, and like, how does someone end up as a club show and not on the main thing, and how does that work?
That's a good question. I don't know. We just I kind of just piece it together. It's always like you have a big list you start with for the festival, and then you just start losing half of the stuff you really want. So you just have to pivot, and you just keep going back in, and then sometimes some stuff pops up unexpectedly, like, hey, so and so's getting back together. Or, you never know. Like sometimes, I get a call and I get some great thing that they didn't even expect. So this one, Lee Fields one, I'm excited about. Shannon and the Clams, we've never had her.
That's why I put it up. Like, this is about this is about my speed right here. And and this is at the pool at the Grand, right?
Yeah,
but it's a nighttime show.
Okay.
So, but it's same where we do the pool parties, but it's 2 stages. Yep. This show, we're just gonna have the bands on the one stage and get Jesse to DJ some good soul, some good soul set, like in between bands on the other stage.
So they're just to give you the lowdown for people who don't know, there's 6 different clubs each night. Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, we have club shows, and then we'll do a couple on Monday, because Monday is the last day of the festival. People get pretty burned out, but we always have punk rock karaoke as one of them for all those troopers who want to get up and sing after watching all these different singers. I mean, when you count all the bands between the festival and the club shows, you got about 130, 140 different bands, different artists playing over the whole weekend. So.
Yeah, but all the club shows start after the festival. So the festival, when the headliner's done at the festival, there's like 20 minutes before you guys are playing on Friday, so there's no festival Friday, so it's just on.
We're gonna set it. We're coming from New York. We're gonna set it off, man.
Yeah,
we are, man. We're stoked, man. We're gonna set it off. Hey, have you guys seen your hardcore trading cards? Have you seen those?
No.
Yeah, you haven't seen these things? Come on. Pop, pop, pop. There you go. You haven't seen that?
Never.
There's a front. There's the front of yours. This is Joshua Hurst does these. There's the front of yours, and Shawn, here's the back of yours, and then I got you, Mark. He does a really great job with these. They're very cool,
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it has all the bands: Mess, Swinging Skins Brigade, Extremes Youth Brigade, The Brigade. That's it. Yeah. So that's Shawn's card. You'll probably hear from him. He'll send it to you. And here's yours, Mark. You look really concerned. You look really concerned on your card, man.
He's
Yeah.
probably already. I know
Yeah.
the photo.
Yeah.
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 Hey, look, I lock in, man.
Intense.
When I'm playing.
Yeah. And let me show you the back.
That's probably me looking at the monitor guy. Like, turn up the goddamn monitor.
Yeah. Monitor. Yeah. And here's
Monitor. What's that?
Yeah. What are you, a rock star? You get a monitor?
No, I don't have in-ears. What are you talking about?
So there's the back of yours. Yeah. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
So very, very, very cool. And yeah. Is that right? He says they'll go up on Instagram today and he'll tag you guys. So
Oh, nice.
So there you go.
Those are cool.
Good stuff.
Thank you.
Mark, I know you got to go. We'll cut you loose. Anybody you want to thank? Anybody you want to shout out?
No. To my daughter Madison. She's in Brooklyn now. She's a local out there.
Okay.
My daughter Zuma, she's here with me. She's only 3.
She hasn't jumped into this and tried to talk and bring up.
She's been locked. She was locked in the room. That's why I moved outside.
She
wanted
to.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks a lot, Drew. I really appreciate it.
Oh,
we're frozen.
I'm not frozen.
I'm in Costa.
Drew's frozen.
I'm frozen.
Drew's frozen. I'm in Costa Rica.
Am I still frozen?
Nah, now you're back.
All right, Mark. I'll see you later. I'll send you an email this week.
Sounds great. All right, guys.
Thank you.
Talk to you later.
Right. Yeah. We have done the fest on the East Coast. We did it in Asbury Park in 2016 or 17. I think it was 16.
Hold on. Don't. Here you go. Boom. Okay. So, branching out outside of Vegas. I know you did Denver and you did Asbury Park. I think you did it for a year or 2, maybe 3.
We did Asbury 2 years. We
Okay.
did Denver 1.
And
I wasn't. It was Mark's idea, and I was very skeptical. The reasoning he had was, hey, if we can offer bands coming from overseas 2 shows,
right,
then they can come out and do a tour in between. And I'm all,
it
makes sense. But unfortunately, we got the specials on the East Coast, but we didn't get them on the West Coast that year, which kind of killed the whole idea. But the problem was, I just, I love Asbury. It's great, but when you do something that size, you're basically trying to get people to come from New York. And my argument was, why don't we just do it in New York?
Yeah. I was at the special show, by the way. And I was with my kid, and we have pictures. I texted him today because I couldn't find him. We stayed in the same hotel as Charles Bradley. And we have pictures, me and my son and Charles Bradley. And I mean, sadly, he passed away.
That was an amazing performance. It was such a sweet guy, but wow, what a show! Yeah. What a show!
That was great. And that was 1 year, and I guess was this the other year? I remember this too. I think this was the other Asbury year, right? Yeah.
That was the year. That was 2016. So the other one was the next year, was 2017.
Oh, okay. This was first.
Yeah, that was first.
And
I didn't make it out for that. I got sick because we played. We played in Vegas, and then we went to Denver a few days later to play, and I was just burnt. I was a week in Vegas, and then I had to go and play in Denver, and I needed to. I was the one doing all the I run production, and I had to pay all the bills, and I'm like, I got to go home and take this. I'm not going to Jersey. I can't do this.
Right. And so this sort of just became a little bit of a difficult to pull off, or just didn't make sense. And you kind of pulled the barricades back. Let's just make Vegas great.
Yeah, I'm all, it's hard to do what Vegas is such a unique situation. It's hard to do what we do in Vegas outside of Vegas. Right. It was a good idea, and then we spend 10 months of the year setting up for punk rock bowling, and it grew organically, but it grew fairly fast, and yeah, there was a lot of changes over after COVID. It just was like a lot of stuff to deal with. So, yeah, and I mean, the business world in general has changed after COVID. A lot of bands. I mean, I don't want to get too deep into it, but a lot of bands were out touring after not being able to play music, because that's how we make our, as musicians, that's how we earn our living, is live music, because of, unfortunately, things like Spotify, where I'm a very vocal opponent to things like Spotify, because they pay independent bands about 1/100th of a penny per stream.
Yep.
So it's a very shitty business model. They could pay more, they choose not to. I would say that's due to greed. No other reason could be more apparent than, when you're making billions of dollars, then you're just greedy bastards. Without the musicians, there would be no Spotify, and there are a lot of businesses, I call them parasitic businesses, that try to use what we as musicians do to make money for themselves. And if musicians were smart, they would form their own union and fight back. Because if the musicians said, that's it, we're not going to do this anymore, those businesses would go out of business. So during COVID, bands couldn't play, and then they started coming back out in late 21, 22. And it was a lot of saturation. And then the other behemoth in the music business is Live Nation, Ticketmaster, another one that I'm an outspoken critic of. They started what I call the one-day mega festival of 65 bands in one day with 5 stages, and they charge the same price that we charge for a 3-day festival. You can't see 65 bands on 5 stages in one day. You're lucky if you can see 15 minutes of 15 bands in one day, when they're spread across 5 stages, and you're there with 65,000 of your not closest friends that you don't know. I just don't think, me personally, it's all about community, right? We're trying to get people to come together and have a good time with each other, to listen to music and celebrate, right? I'm not trying to put on a festival where, you're going to pay $25 for a drink and $75 for a t-shirt and stand in long lines and be happy about it. I think that's a bad experience. Some people are fine with that. That's your choice. What we try to do as musicians, because what I believe is this is a festival made by musicians, for musicians and the fans of the music. I want people to come to Punk Rock Bowling and have a good time. And I do this from the experience that I've had in the, playing shows and traveling around the world, being lucky enough to be able to do that and earn a living off of that for over 45 years now. So I want people to come and have a good time. I want what makes me happy is that at the end of Punk Rock Bowling on that Monday, when the festival is over, what people say to me is, I can't wait until next year.
That's awesome.
That makes me happy.
Yeah.
And that's why we do this. I don't know how much longer we'll do this for. I hope we still have some years to go, but some bands are getting older. We're pushing these younger new bands, which is great, but maybe there'll be some new people that come in and take the reins. We don't know. We'll see.
I can relate in a certain regard. We've been doing these all ages free Sunday matinees a week, half a block from CBGB's, of course, on a way, 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 way smaller scale. But there's I say a lot when a lot of times, nothing brings me more joy than bringing the community and the culture together. Like sure, I have films, and sure, I've done this, and sure, I've done that, and whatever. But there's something about, especially when young people come, and it is sort of in the spirit of that first wave of American hardcore that you and I were a part of. I say this all the time. I said, nothing brings me more joy than when we have a show down there and it's popping, and there's young people and older people, and everybody's mixing, and there's no, there's no nonsense, no fight. That's nothing brings me more joy. It's great. So yeah. I can relate on a much smaller scale to. I think, yeah.
but that's where that's where it started for us, and the fact that we've been able to put this thing together and we're celebrating 25 years. It's just a testament to the community that supports us, because without that community, we could not do this, right? And you could not do your show. It doesn't matter if it's 50 people or 1,500 or 10,000 people. What matters is that you're bringing people together to celebrate music. I mean, I'm not a religious person, but music, to me, I don't want to say it's not a religion, but it is a celebration of humanity, of coming together. This goes back, centuries from what people used to do and celebrate, the fall harvest or the spring. That's where music comes from. Music comes from people getting together and celebrating as a community, and that's what this is. This is an extension of that in the modern day, in the modern age. But I want people to be able to have an experience there, not just watching the bands, but meeting people and old friends, making new friends, having a good time, making memories, and this is something they can look forward to every year. I hope, and I want to hopefully inspire people to go out and make change in their community when they get home, and maybe put on their own shows like you're doing. I mean, support the community, support the bands that especially young bands that you've got in your hometown. That's what we've been doing since we started this. It always goes back to the DIY. We do this because we love it.
Makes sense.
Yep.
Hey, let me take a quick sponsor break, and we'll come back and let's take some questions from around the world. Okay.
Sure.
Okay. That's right. It's the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. Our guests today, Mark Stern, who had to go, but Shawn Stern is with us. Get your post your questions. I know people have been posting throughout the whole show. Please post them again. Go deep, get weird. Big opportunity here to ask Shawn some questions. So get back to it. Want to mention some upcoming shows. Sunday, February 16th. Just mentioned the Back to the New York Hardcore Roots series at Berlin. It is free. It is all ages. The Undead, Sad Plant, Star Car, the Car Bomb Parade, and Prize Fighter. Back where it all began. Listen, we got back in. We're playing A7. You heard? ID and Crazy Eddie, Sunday, March 2nd. Back where it all began. This is 21 and up. It is free, but that's the stipulation to get back into this room. It's a rare incendiary device, 21 and plus show, but we wanted to get back into the magic room. Apologize to all the people under 21, but we're playing a bunch of other shows in New York. Sunday, March 16th. You know what about this show? This has changed. This show is now this show. Sunday, March 16th, Hub City Stompers, Rebelmatic. Come on now. Ancient Domains, Daija, and Ill Raised. Winter Wolf has dropped. Rebelmatic has stepped in. Sunday, March 16th at Berlin on Avenue A. Saturday, March 22nd, the Rai Rai Fest at the Brooklyn Monarch with Fishbone and Scream and a bunch of others. Mother Pug's Saloon, we're doing our series. This is free as well. Enrage, Cropsy, ID, and Tear Gas. And then, Big Banger just announced Sunday, April 13th. CMI, ID, Murderers Row, American Eagle, and Faded Line back in our home at the Bowery Electric. How about this? In our beloved Tompkins Square Park on Memorial Day weekend. Of course, I will not be there because I will be playing punk rock bowling, but all our people will be putting the show on. Larry Kelly, Ray Hogan. Saturday, May 24th in Tompkins Square Park. Free, of course, show out there. Non-residents, Butterbrain, Fire is Murder, End of Hope with Davey Gunner from Kraut, and Sonic Bomb. And then, of course, that same weekend, like we've mentioned a couple times, hope to see you out in Vegas at Punk Rock Bowling. We're going to set it off at the Fremont Country Club on Friday, May 23rd. ID, Stalag 13, The Effigies, Negative Approach, and 7 Seconds. Come on now. Get your shoes and socks on, kids. It's right around the corner. Oh, I'm making this announcement now. This hasn't even gotten public yet. But, I'm going to get married at the Bowery Electric. Sunday, June 1st. Right on stage at the Bowery. It looks like some Sly Stone rock and roll shit right here. Drew and Rochelle Stone Wedding Bash. My War. We're doing the My War thing again with a bunch of different singers. Scott Hellen's doing the Guitar Me of One. Special DJ sits. Yo, everybody's invited to our wedding at the Bowery Electric. What can I tell you, man? I'm going to put it on social media tomorrow. I hope to see you there. Talk about community. Everybody's invited. And then, we just got confirmed we're playing the Crash Fest at the DNA Lounge in San Francisco with a bunch of great bands on October 18th ID. So I hope that all makes sense to everything. Once again, this is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. We're sponsored by blah, 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 and the Texas Silver Rush. They're a jewelry design firm and boutique store located in the birthplace of the Texas country music scene in Fredericksburg, Texas. They specialize in work with musicians in all music genres to design and create unique one-off pieces, as well as to style them for stage, album covers, promo photos, and social media exposure. The client list includes Rock and Roll Hall of Famers Greg Rollet, Ringo Starr, and of course, Agnostic Front. Information and online sales are being taken at their Facebook and Instagram page, and of course, www.texassilverrush.com. Last but not least, come on now, Mad Vintage buys, sells, collects band shirts, primarily hardcore. The DIY operation was started and is operated by a hardcore kid who loves collecting, and eventually got into vintage clothing, specifically the realm of vintage band shirts. They're always looking to buy out collections to either keep, sell, or trade. New shirts added daily at www.madvintage.com and posted on Instagram. Dig deep into that closet of crapola and reach out to them. Help me help you, Mad Vintage. That said, any questions you have for our guest, post them up now, repost now, and let's bring back on our guest, Mr. Shawn Stern. Hey, man.
Hey.
All right, let's see. Here we go. Well, we kind of answered this, but let's do it again. Which bands is Shawn most excited to see at Punk Rock Bowling this year, new and old?
Oh, I think we were talking about it when you showed the flyer for the festival.
Yeah, I'm going to put it back up. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, always happy to see Cox Bar, especially they haven't played out here in something like 6 years. I think 2018 or 19 was the last time. I've never seen Peter Hook. My brother has. He says they put on an amazing show. Definitely excited to see them. Happy to see that Social Distortion is also playing for the first time. Amigo the Devil played a club show 2018 or 19, I think. So I'm really happy to see that they'll be for the first time on the festival stage. So many of these bands have not played the festival stage, even bands that have played Punk Rock Bowling. Bad Nerves, really good band. Saw them at the Region a few months ago. Definitely come check them out. Great young punk band from England. Gang of Four, one of my old-time favorites. Saw them at Cruel World, and they put on a great show. The Damned, what can you say? The Kings.
Sure.
I love seeing them. Frank Turner always puts on a great show. Interrupters put on a great show. Flag will be great. New band, Spiritual Cramps, as I had mentioned before, are great. Civic from Australia is also great. Lambrini Girls from England, great. No Bro from Canada, also great. I haven't seen any of those bands live except for Spiritual Cramps.
I like Billy Bats and the Made Men.
Yeah. There's a lot of interesting bands, and a lot of these ones, as I said, on the opening, the early bands are young. Most of them are very young and new bands, so definitely worth checking them out if you're going to be there. And then there's a lot of great club show stuff that we've announced already, and then some more that's coming soon.
Yeah, and there's still many more club shows to announce, right?
Yeah, we're getting down. I think we've done a little more than half. Mm-hmm. There's going to be, I believe it's 21 club shows.
Wow. Incredible.
Yeah.
Rick Brust asks, did you think Youth Brigade would still be playing 40 years later?
No. Well, let me say that I never thought when we started that I'd still be doing this, in my 60s. Mm. I didn't think that far ahead, of course. So,
yeah. That makes sense. Would you ever reissue the Extreme single?
No. No.
this is a kind of a twofold question. Count Ralphus asks, what has been the impact of Another State of Mind on Youth Brigade's career? Did it instantly put you guys on a new level?
No, because it didn't really, I mean, it was a cool document, but it was definitely not something that was in the theaters and getting all this attention.
Yeah.
It was cool that they were there. I was, as we talked earlier, I was very disappointed that there was so much amazing footage that was shot that those guys didn't use, and we tried for many years to try to get them to let us have the footage so we could do something with it, and then they just lost it. I don't know what happened to it. It's pretty sad. It's just amazing, amazing stuff.
Yeah, that answers your question, Pat Baldwin. We talked about this earlier in the show. Is there any unreleased footage that could be released for a deluxe edition? Unfortunately, it's gone through the swirling sands of time.
Yep.
Which is a bummer, man. You know.
Mhm.
Let's see. Yeah, the dam ripped a month ago, and the damned are always great.
Yeah, they are.
Do you still surf waves above 60?
Do I still surf waves now that I'm over 60? Yes.
Yeah.
My brother's surfing a lot more than me. I screwed up my knees by playing racquetball, but I'm doing yoga, so they're getting much more healthy. So I'll be back out there. But Mark was in Indonesia for a month this summer, and he's been out in Costa Rica for now a month. So he's surfing a lot more than I am, which I'm not happy about. But I'm happy for him. I'm not happy about me.
I can answer this one a little bit, Kim. Question: Agnostic Front exhibit was incredible. Are there plans for something similar this year at Punk Rock Bowling? I can answer that one. Being a friend of Roger Moretz, Roger's daughter is graduating, I think, high school. He has a graduation. I don't think Agnostic Front is not playing, or he's not doing anything this year. Yeah, he's pretty tied up with some family stuff. You know, this is a good question. I'm glad you asked this one, because this is on my list. Basically, is there anyone on the wish, like who's a white whale on who's on the wish list for all these years later? And I read a couple of your interviews. I've heard this answer before, but anybody like is there anybody out there that's sort of still like, man, I'd love to get them?
I mean, there are a whole bunch of, every year, everybody's like, you should get this. First, I want to just say, Minor Threat is never going to play again. I can tell you that for all you people who keep saying, oh, get Minor Threat or Fugazi back together. It's never going to happen.
That's right.
And I know this because I've talked to Ian about it. I know he has no interest in, he doesn't look back. I've known Ian a long time. That's just not what he does. Yep. So for all those people who keep saying, get Minor Threat or get Fugazi, that's never going to happen. Yeah. If that was going to happen, because he doesn't care about that stuff, which I totally understand and respect. So that's not going to happen. I would love to see Op Ivy do it. That's possible.
That's possible.
That's a possibility. I don't know that it's going to happen. It's possible. You know, most of the bands that you could think of, we've asked, right? All these people are like, why don't you get this band? Why don't you get that band? We've asked.
Yeah.
It's there's always a reason that it doesn't happen, and these are not things that we can control. And we don't have the kind of money that some of these huge promoters do, you know. So
yeah. The Misfits are an easy get. It takes a lot of money to it takes a lot of money to land the Misfits. It's not that easy.
No, we don't have that kind of money.
What was it like staying at the Discord House during that '82 tour?
How can I put this in a nice way? I mean, I love those guys, and it was awesome to hang out with them, but they were not the vegan, guys. If you see the note on the door, no girls allowed, it was a joke, but they lived off of 7-Eleven across the store. That was across the street. It was not a very clean. It was like a frat house.
Coca-Cola and hot dogs.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So, I'm not a vegetarian, but I didn't eat meat, and so it wasn't. And I like to cook, so it wasn't exactly my favorite place to stay. But it was fun to hang out with those guys. It'd been a tough road.
It's amazing it's still there.
Yeah. Well, it's completely different from what I've heard. And when I returned there, it was all clean and nice. Yeah. I'm happy it's still there. That's awesome. Yeah.
That's all. Longbrain asks, will you ever do punk rock bowling in New York City? We kind of addressed that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so difficult to do what we do in Vegas and somewhere else. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say no, but it's not something I'm thinking about. Put it that way.
Do you? I mean, I assume at like this point. I mean, do you have like doing this for so many years? I would assume you have to have. Are there relationships that have been built with sort of like the downtown coalition or politician? Like, are there certain Vegas people that you guys kind of interact with year after year?
Just the venue and the hotel people and the all the different clubs and stuff. Yeah, but no, we not. Maybe we should. People have said, why aren't you going to the Chamber of Commerce and get maybe we should. I don't know. Never really thought about it. It's just we just do our thing. You know
what it is? It's Vegas, right? It's friggin' Vegas. Of course, you booked out. It's a different world, and people don't understand that until you kind of live it a little bit. Vegas is like a whole nother world, man.
It is. It's a different business community, and a lot of people are transplants. Especially a lot of people during COVID. A lot of people from California moved there, but it's just a weird way of doing business. There's a lot of good people in Vegas. I really enjoy going there to do business, but then there's like everywhere, there's people that are not the most scrupulous people. What are you going to do? That's just the way the world is.
Vegas was always, at least in the other times, it's always been about kind of separating you from your money in Vegas. And in other times I've been there, other times, touring, you go in, you play, you leave. That's kind of when I was working with Biohazard or when I was whoever. You go in, you play, you make a run for it, but this is a little different,
It's changed a lot because I don't go to the Strip. I rarely go to the Strip. I hang out downtown, even when we go out there for meetings and stuff. I stay downtown. I usually don't go much farther than the Arts District, But gambling is not as big as it used to be there. So
is that right?
It's just not the main. It's still a big part of it, but there's also family-oriented stuff going on. There's food, there's shopping, there's all kinds of.
It's like an adult Disneyland.
Exactly.
Yeah. I haven't been to Vegas in probably 20, 25 years. So, hey, John Coletti of the old Anthrax Club in Connecticut. Right on. 3 bands on Somebody Got Their Head Kicked In BYO comp, Battalion of Saints, Aggression, and the Joneses. Any memories or words about those great bands? Were you all friends? Any memories?
Aggression, yeah. We were friends with them. That's why after we did that record, we ended up putting out their first record, and we were friends with them. They're good guys. Sadly, most of them have passed away. Big Bob passed away a year or two ago.
Right.
Henry, I don't know, 15 or 20 years ago, and Mark also around that. They were good guys, great band, loved that band. We did not know Battalion of Saints. We knew Mark Rude, and he just said, "Oh, I got this band that I'm managing, and I'll bring them up." And super nice guys. It was a trip because we were in the studio recording all these bands, and George comes in, and we had to put a baffle in front of him because he couldn't perform with people seeing him. And it was kind of, and that was a new one for me. But wow, what a performance though. Because he was jumping all around too when he was singing. It was awesome. So that was a great thing. The Joneses, I knew of them. Maybe I'd seen them live. I can't remember. I knew Steve Olson. But yeah, didn't know them so well. And that was another thing where someone said, "Oh, you should check these guys out." And just almost, I think they may have just came up to the studio and did the songs, and they turned out great. Very happy that we were able. It definitely mixed it up, the stuff that was on there.
Yeah. I can answer this one. Andrew Jones asks, is there Bad Religion footage in Another State of Mind? Yes, there is. If you look real hard, you could see Bad Religion is actually playing in the film, and I think it's just part of the tragedy, which I've lived through with some of my projects, that the dailies of the film don't exist anymore, and that's probably some of the footage you were talking about, right, Shawn? That like if you got all the footage from the film, there would be minor threat footage, there would be the Bad Religion footage, right?
Well, the bad religion stuff was something that Peter wanted to do. He wanted to get some crowd shots. He didn't go there to film Bad Religion. He went there to film the crowd because he wanted to get more. Because we were traveling around the U.S. Most of those shows outside of California, maybe New York, were much, much smaller than what we were having in L.A. So when we came back, the tour was already finished. There was a show, and I can't remember, it may be a show that we promoted. First of all, Bad Religion was not that big of a band back then. Right. They were usually an opening band. I know there's been some writings have been made recently saying that, you know, somehow I personally did something to Bad Religion by including them in the movie. I had nothing to do with that. Just to clear the air.
Sure.
I didn't make the movie. I booked the tour. Those guys, as we talked about earlier in this interview, came along and made the movie and shot it. It was their idea to go down to the show, and I think it was a show that we did at Florentine Gardens, and Bad Religion was one of the support bands. I don't remember who the headliner was. I could look back and find out.
Was that footage in the film of Bad Religion at Florentine Gardens?
I believe so, yeah. So
I looked at that venue. I was said to my guys, like, because I don't know those venues. I wasn't. And I thought
it could have possibly been Olympic, but I don't think I'm pretty sure it was Florentine because we were promoting some shows with the Florentine. So there was footage of Circle Jerks and there was footage of Bad Religion. They were just sort of shots in the background because they were shooting from the stage. The main reason they went was to get the kids jumping off the stage, dancing the pit and all that.
Yeah. B-roll, as we call it.
Exactly. It was after the tour. That was the guys who made the movie said, we need to go and we want to shoot this. They went and shot it. I had nothing to do with it.
Right on. Bob Brandt asks, did you know Leatherface prior to the BYO split?
I'd never met them. I heard the record when I was in Spain and I loved it. The Mush record. I loved that record. So I had been writing to Frankie, or actually I think I might have been faxing him because this was pre-internet. And I said, I love your band. I would love to put a record out. And he was all, well, you know, the band isn't really doing anything, blah, 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 blah. And I said, well, if you ever change your mind. And then Hot Water Music wrote to me or called me. I don't remember exactly what it was because this was early 90s. And said, hey, we're Hot Water Music. We want to do a split with Leatherface. And we reached out to them and they told us, oh, we'll talk to Shawn at BYO because they're our label. And I said, really? That's news to me. Awesome. So that's how that all came about. And that's how we became friends with Frankie and how we became friends with Hot Water. And that's how the split came about.
Cool. Just kind of heading down the home stretch now. Tommy Van asks, I went to Punk Rock Bowling when everything was at Sam's Town. I'm not sure. Is that a different locale?
That's the bowling alley. That's in Henderson. So that's the bowling alley that we used for many years. We still bowl there. We used to stay there as well. It's about 15 minutes outside of downtown drive.
I see. When it was Sam's Town, and they had a bus to downtown for one show. Can't remember the lineup, but I remember the Adolescents, 7 Seconds, and maybe DI.
Yeah, and it could be that I don't know what year it was. So if it was a year when the festival had moved downtown, we were still, the first couple of years, we still had rooms there. And then eventually we just moved all the rooms downtown. But we still bowl there. So yeah, I mean, if there were busing people, it could have been to downtown. We also had buses taking people to the Friday kickoff show at times. So I don't remember. There's been so many shows in 25 years. I can't remember all of them. Just
the putting together all the logistics of this, but I guess doing it year after year, you kind of, I don't, like I said, it's not easier, but you kind of know where to go or what the pitfalls could be and what needs to be taken care of. You don't get always get broadsided by new things, but at least you kind of you have a grasp of what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know it's not easy.
Well,
Especially when
I've been doing this a long time, so I've learned
Yeah.
quite a bit, right?
Yeah. But what's that thing? We learn things that we basically have learned the same thing over and over again. The same shit happens, the same shit happens over. So yeah. So that said, great show. Thank you so much for coming on. Really enjoyed it. And I just want to thank you personally for having us on Punk Rock Bowling this year. And let me get that. We're super excited to come out and set it off with our friends in 7 seconds, a negative approach, and looking forward to playing with the effigies and Stalag. So really, really appreciate it. Is there anybody you want to thank? Anybody you want to shout out?
I just want to say thanks to you for giving me the opportunity to talk to people. Thanks for everybody who's been listening and supporting us. And, I said it earlier and I say it all the time. We do this for the people who love the music. We've been doing this, 25 years as a festival, over 40 years as a band, and as a record label. And, all the things that we've done, we do it because we love it. We love the music. We love the ideas, and we love that people support us and keep this scene going. And I hope it continues on for many, many more years. And just, it's an honor and a privilege to be able to do what I love doing. And I thank you all for it. It's really great.
Thanks a lot, Shawn. And
right.
I'll be in touch. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay. See you in Vegas. Yeah.
Yes. Take care. Bye-bye.
All right. See ya.
Pow. Boom. And just like that. Boom. Yeah, it was great. Fantastic. I hope you enjoyed it. I sure did. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. Our guest today was Shawn and his brother Mark Stern. Yeah, man. Much love. Great show. I knew it was going to be a great show. And look, I know a bunch of people are coming out to Vegas this Punk Rock Bowling. I'm looking forward to playing. There's some talk about screening the New York Hardcore Chronicles film, or I might host a tour at the Punk Rock Museum. We'll see how that shakes out. I'm going to be out there Thursday. I'm out there Thursday through Tuesday, yo. Oy, 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 gewalt, as my grandmother would say. Congratulations on the wedding. Thank you. Hey, everybody's invited, man. Everybody's invited. Come down to the Bowery Electric on Sunday, June 1st. You see that? Dress to impress. Free, all ages, complimentary food, cash bar. I'm not paying for your friggin' booze. I'll throw some food down your throat, but I'm not paying for your booze. So Friday to Tuesday, Joe. All right. There you go. Yep. Yeah. And of course, Ray Hogan, thank you. We talked about that while I'm out there, Ray Hogan and Larry Kelly and Brian, we got the non-residents Butterbrain, Fires Murder, End of Hope, and Sonic Bomb in our beloved Tompkins Square Park. And don't forget, everybody, 1 week from today, the Goog. Is this really going to happen? Is this really going to happen? I hope so, man. Now, I'm looking forward to getting the Goog on the show, So there you go. Hey, thank you, Courtney. That's very nice. And thanks to, I'm looking at the tour thing. We're trying to figure it out. Even if I don't do the tour, I'm thinking that the film, we're going to do a screening and I'm going to moderate it and do a Q&A. So we'll see. The thing is, I don't want to do something like while there's bands playing that I want to see, but we'll figure it out. I'm there for a long time, man. I'm going to be, Hey, thank you, Josh. And you do a great job with the cards, man. And thank you for being a part of the show these days. Jangle Bells, you missed a great show. You got to watch it. It was a really good show. It's a good one. It was a good one. So that said, thanks, everybody. I truly appreciate you stopping by You all are a big part of my world, man. I mean that. And thanks to Michael LaRoche and GY6 Madness, who did a couple of super chats. And if you can, please support the show any way you can, man. You know, be an enabler. You know, what can I say? Support the show. This supports you. You know. Hey, Hegs, man, thanks. Hey, Hegs, are we going to do Rampage Fest this year? We should talk about it if we want to do it, because we're booking up. We're booking things up. Au revoir. Thanks. Thanks a lot, everybody. Let me just say thank you. I'll see you next week. I'll see you soon. Fantastic show. Okay, yeah, we'll talk about it, Hegs. Zook, thanks, Zook. GY6, thank you. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it, man. I'm very fortunate. You know, I appreciate it. Not to sound, you know, people are corny, like, oh, I'm so grateful. Like, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for this. I'm grateful for what we do. I'm grateful to have this. So thank you once again. You know, tell your loved ones that you love them. It's important in this life. Life is short, you know. And until next time, do good things. Do good things. I'm living testament to this. I'm telling you. If you do bad things are going to happen. But if you do good things will happen. Good things will come to you.
Conditioned by indoctrination, conditioned by society. You're a victim of the digital age, a 21st century casualty. Open your eyes, you're losing control.